Which one's the best crypto asset? Well, Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Okay. What's the second best? There is no second best. There's no second best crypto asset. There's a crypto asset. It's called Bitcoin, right? Right? There's no second best. Okay. It's not like,
man. Thank goodness.
Welcome to the HEX Late Show. Let me crack one open. What's going on, people? What is going on? It's a Tuesday evening. It's the HEX Late Show. I've got Bluey in the background. Let me bring him up.
Hey,
Hey, brother.
Cup of camo for me.
Cheers. So, I'm not sure if you knew, man, but anyone who was holding wrapped BTC on Ethereum on the 12th of May, 2023. So if you had a few wrapped BTC, you can go swap that wrapped BTC. The copy that you got on PulseChain, you can go swap it for money. It's actually worth...
Yeah, I saw that tweet
worth money,
well.
like free money.
Yeah.
So anyone who had wrapped BTC on Ethereum on the 12th of May or the 10th or the 12th of May, you go check that same address, that same Ethereum address, but the PulseChain version of it, and see if you've got some wrapped BTC in there. You might have got a copy, right? Because it was a full system state fork of Ethereum. And if you do have a copy of that wrapped BTC, you can go swap it for
Pulse
DAI or well, you can go swap it for Pulse. You can go swap it for Pulse. And just so that
forked wrap or bridged.
Let me just show
Bitcoin.
But check this out, dude. Right. There is, like, can you believe there's 505,000. No, sorry, 505,000. I can't even speak right now.
$500,000 worth of liquidity.
Exactly.
Jesus. Yeah, seriously.
Dude.
A lot of liquidity for $100.
It's what?
So that means
it's a fair bit of liquidity.
That means there's like 50,000 Bitcoin.
that would be both sides
Oh,
of
okay, so
the.
25,000.
That would be so
Still a lot,
right.
Yeah.
And what is it? What is it at the moment? 107.
There's something wrong with my math.
So that's there's about 4,700 wrapped BTC there. So if you got a few wrapped BTC that you had lying around at that time, and you decide you want to you can go cash it in, and then you've got free, like absolutely free play money on PulseChain.
How do you explain that? It's like, is that just mean everything is a meme, or like how do you explain,
I just think people. How do I explain? I think people with lots of it have decided to support it on PulseChain through providing liquidity.
I mean, I suppose they got it all for free, but why would you buy it? Like,
because you've got lots of it. If you've got lots of it, then
sell it if you got lots of it. You wouldn't buy it.
no, but if you're the one who's got lots of it, right?
Yeah. You want to
It's
pump
like
the price.
there has to be a market maker, right? Doesn't there have to be a market maker?
Yeah, but that's the liquidity, right? But you can't you can't force people to buy or sell your thing. So you're saying that they're just
No, but this is liquidity. Like this is someone's providing, or people are providing liquidity
yeah,
for this token,
yeah.
and they could do it for any token that got forked. This is not just a wrapped BTC thing. This is any token from Ethereum that got. This could happen with any token if it just had the backing of the community from the Ethereum community
But even with the backing
of that token.
even with the backing of the community, you still need people to be buying it for it to go up in value. Like, you can provide liquidity all you want,
Yeah,
but you still have to have people actually trading it. I mean, I don't know what it shows, but it shows you something about humans, doesn't it? And value and perception, or something like that. Or just the degeneracy. Like, they'll just
Is it degeneracy? I mean, what is like?
they're
Think
just
about
kind
it.
of
Just think.
maybe
It's
they're
just code.
maybe
It's all
definition is the
code
wrong
on
word.
blockchains,
They
man.
play. They like to play. People like to play, don't they?
Yeah, people will attribute value to whatever they decide they want to attribute value to. Like
That's it.
there are Pokemon cards that are worth
Yeah,
like
good
I
point.
believe millions of dollars. Right?
Oh, there's probably footy
So
cards, AFL footy cards that are worth tons, hey?
yeah, probably lots of. I know there's plenty of basketball cards that are.
Baseball cards,
I
yeah.
have to say my Michael Jordan cards that I had from the 90s, I thought they'd be worth more than they are.
I thought my Lee Matthews and Michael Tuck cards would be worth
Michael
more than
Tuck.
that.
Michael Tuck.
Yeah. You remember him?
That's going back a while.
It is.
I remember him.
Yeah.
Skinny dude.
Yeah, man. One time he wore a sleeveless top. It was horrific.
Yeah, because he always had the long sleeve jumpers on.
Yeah.
The long sleeve footy jumpers.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We were actually, just for the people tuning in, Bluey and I were actually listening to some old school, like Australian music that would get us demonetized if we played it.
You could play 20 seconds of
But
it,
since,
you know? I mean,
yeah, I'm going to play some of it, dude. I'm definitely going to play some of it. All right. So I'm not sure if any of you Aussies out there know who the Black Sorrows are. Chain to the Wheel. I think I'm going to play a bit of this, but I might like Sorrows. Love me some Black Sorrows. That's 80s.
Yeah.
Back in the day. We're showing our age.
Yeah.
But hey, classic is classic. That is like legit Australian music. Hold its own anywhere in the world at any time, I reckon.
Yeah, fully. Man, the 80s had such good music. Seriously. Such a variety and eclecticism and yeah.
Yeah, so just this airdrop thing, it's not just WBTC is my point. My point is, like, you know how we've discussed all of this about PulseChain, the PulseChain fork. We sort of have discussed it over the last couple of years, like what's going to happen, like this and that. And I think we all thought more would happen when it launched. I'm starting to think it's more likely that things are going to happen when there's more, like, when we get the euphoria side of it. You think people are going to, like, when they learn about,
like
people will learn
or something.
Well, they'll just like,
what actually went off? Like, what forks actually, like, what fork coins actually did anything interesting? So wrapped Bitcoin did wrapped, did wrapped Ethereum? Was that all swapped out for Pulse, or is there still wrapped Ethereum?
Wrapped Ethereum should be equal to a Pulse.
No, but that's the Ethereum. But what about isn't the wrapped Ethereum different from the wrapped Ethereum?
Isn't it? No. Wrapped Ethereum should be equal to a Pulse because one Ethereum was equal to a Pulse. So if you go have a look at wrapped Ethereum,
did you wrap it? It's the ERC20 version. So wouldn't they said they didn't just have a Pulse?
No, but you know how there was, like, on Ethereum, there's wrapped Ethereum on Ethereum, right? Well, that wrapped version got forked across, like that, not forked across, it got copied.
Yeah.
It got copied. And that copied version, which is not worth $1,880 or whatever it's worth right now, that copied version is worth one Pulse. So if you look up,
I'm saying that's the thing. Like I know that the Ethereum is worth a Pulse. One Ethereum is worth a Pulse, but one wrapped Ethereum is also
worth a Pulse.
One wrapped Pulse or something, or
it can be worth a wrapped Pulse or just a Pulse.
So it's not a separate token. It's not a separate wrapped ETH token on.
Let's look it up. We don't need to speculate. We can go and have a look at.
Is there the contract address for wrapped Ethereum? You can just look it up on PulseChain. Why don't you show people how to do it? What you're doing, actually, that's a really good little learning moment.
What do you mean?
Well, what would you do? How would you look it up? You'd look for the wrapped Ethereum contract address, yeah, and then
I just went to Dex Screener and typed in WETH and then space. I'll show you. I just went up here, and then I typed in wrapped ETH.
Yeah.
And then the actual Ethereum wrapped ETH is going to come up, and I'll put a space and then WPLS.
Oh, it is different.
There. So it's 40697.
Yeah, but it is 3 million. It's a separate, and it's called wrapped Pulse over on.
Dude, it's got $3 million of liquidity in it, right? It's not like it's just hanging out with, like, zero liquidity. There's some liquidity. There's some liquidity in there.
Yeah.
And if I look at Pulse PLS,
that's a ton of liquidity for that, hey?
If I just look up Pulse with DAI,
it's had 188 transactions. It's had a lot of transactions in the last 24 hours as well. So people are trading it, hey?
So this is wrapped Pulse on PulseChain.
Yeah.
Right. So you look at the price, and then this is wrapped Ethereum.
It's got an almost similar price.
Hang on, wait, wrapped Pulse. No, this is wrapped Pulse from. No, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Let me bring up the right one. Wrapped Ethereum. Here we go. Okay, not as much. This is this has $560,000 of liquidity, but you can see the price there. It matches the.
And people are trading it. Like there's 444 transactions in the last 24 hours.
Yeah. It's basically the same as Pulse. Wrapped ETH.
Right.
It's the copied version of wrapped ETH
is worth the same.
Wrapped ETH from Ethereum is worth a Pulse. We know that, right?
Yeah. So if you switch to the price of Pulse, it'll just be one.
It should, yeah, or similar, yeah. Where's
we could just try that. Switch to that. Yeah, so it's pretty much remained one the whole time.
Yeah, that's it.
Interesting.
It's like you would arb it, wouldn't you?
Well, that's what people have been doing, yeah.
Yeah.
But why would it keep a peg? That's so crazy.
Why would it keep its peg?
Yeah. Like it's just people's idea. It's not because you can redeem it or anything like that.
People are just using it.
Maybe you can use the contract to unwrap it, and therefore an ETH is worth a Pulse or something.
That's actually a really good question. That's a really, really good question. That's a good question. Yep. I'd love to know. Well, I mean,
can you pull up like Chainlink? I want to see what the Pulse token version of Chainlink is. That also like how much below Chainlink is that? I want to see if it's trading at all. So not the one from Ethereum. Yeah, that one. So it's still got a few transactions, 78 transactions in the last 20. So people are still trading this kind of stuff, hey?
Yeah, I mean, and the question is,
can you put it to switch it in put it in Pulse, switch it to price in Pulse? And so how much? Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude, it got up to like 700, 800 Pulse.
So I suppose if you're, what's that? Look at it from a low to a high. What kind of percentage change is it?
60, if I'm just taking the actual candles, like about 60 to 900.
So you can 10x people. Some people are 10xing their money on it.
Well, that's
I mean, it's probably got bugger all liquidity. Like it's hardly any liquidity, but like people are playing around. Today.
That's a 15x, man. 60 times 15 is 900.
Yeah, so you can buy $10 worth and get 150 out or something like that, hey? Like if you time it right. So people are playing the game.
But the liquidity, like if you look at the liquidity, it's quite low. So it's not going to be.
That's what I'm saying. You're not going to be able to get much in or out.
It's going to be. But you know what? It's interesting because if you're playing with small amounts, like if you're not a big player and you're playing with small amounts,
yeah, you can just be playing
and it's just the free stuff that you got. Like, you know, I'm talking about people from the other side. Ethereum have the Ethereum link, and then they got a copy, and they just find out about it. and then they come over here and they just see this thing. And do you not think that when the that time of the cycle comes where everything just goes crazy, do you not think that if PulseChain pumps, that all this stuff is not going to also pump? It's all going to pump.
Well, if it's all paired with Pulse, it's gonna pump. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's going to be so interesting to see what happens when we get to that part of the cycle. When we get to that part of the cycle.
So are you not worried that this cycle seems to be playing out exactly like everyone thinks it should be playing out? Like the 4-year cycle is just like textbook playing out, it feels like. And it's like it can't do it again, can it? I'm just like,
what do you think makes the cycle play out?
I don't know, everyone expecting that it will, I guess. But
well, it's a 4-year cycle, right? Yeah, you've got 4-year elections in the US, which has to have something to do with it. And then you've got the halvening, which is more and more so, in my opinion, becoming a psychological.
It's totally psychological, eh? It's got to be. It's like, who cares about the Bitcoin fucking halvening? Like, really, is that really what's driving?
Well, it's just having less of an effect every cycle, as far as like like how much supply is being cut from not how much.
Man, I remember
how much the emission is being cut.
I remember at the end of 2019, which is where we would be equivalent now in the cycle. There was some big pumps going on. Like, I just remember, like, this one just pumps 70x, and that's what you're starting to see again. You're starting to see these big pumps, just little kind of like
things popping off.
Things popping off and coming back down and popping off, and like it's like the excitement's starting to come in, and it's just like it feels exactly like 2019, doesn't it?
I haven't seen any 70x's. Which 70x's have you seen? Or we're probably looking in different places.
No, I'm just thinking back to my memory of 2019 of, like things starting to
you're talking about back then. Well,
yeah.
It would be nice to start.
Well, now people are talking about. I mean, I don't follow, but like there's stuff that's like hasn't PulseChain just did and HEX just did a little bit.
Let's have a look at Pulse. Because Pulse has.
We just doubled recently, didn't we?
Well, HEX doubled,
and HEX is but also Pulse was like we were down to like half of what it was now. I think.
Yeah, let's have a look. Okay, so let's go to log. So we dropped down to that 4 zeros and a 3-3. Let's just say that's sort of where we dropped down. I'm not going to count this one at the start. Yeah. And now we're over double that. We've had a nice little, and we sort of this part here where we've come back down to test 4 zeros and a 5.
Yeah. We've climbed right back up,
and we've come back up. So, it doesn't mean it can't come back down, but maybe the people who were just wanting to move on or get out, maybe they've done that.
I was chatting to an onboard today, and I've been onboarding her like sort of for the last, this year really. Well, no, not like the last 6 months. I could just hear it in her voice today. She was starting to get FOMO. She was like, I really need to do this and this, and really don't want to da. And I'm just thinking, wow, I think I feel those.
Good time to get. I've been saying it for 2 weeks now. I have that feeling, not FOMO feeling, but I've got the feeling in my guts that we're no longer like. I feel like the bad pain. We're in that part where it's just like strength after strength. We just like keep building.
I think for a lot of us who've been in here a long time, it feels like it's starting to bubble, and I know I'm in a lot of disbelief. Like I'm in a lot of kind of like I don't trust it. Like I feel that it's something's starting to happen, but I don't really trust it. It's something how like it's almost like it's too. It's just
That's
it's playing
because,
too obviously, like it has in the past or something.
oh, so you think like we could see some sort of like correction back to.
Well, that's, I mean, one thing that Richard mentioned in his last kind of that big long thing that he put out, that speech that he just put out, was he thinks that like it's we're going to see a massive crash in everything, the everything crash, basically, and crypto is not going to be immune from that.
Yep.
Like, it does feel like the world is kind of like
on the cusp of,
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, something happening. Like, are they going to printing? And what happens if the printing doesn't work and they're just going to keep printing? And then either it goes into hyperinflation or they just have to bring it all down, but they won't bring it all down because they're dumb cunts. So
here we are, man. Here we are. So where do you think we are in disbelief?
I think we could be in disbelief. Yeah.
And then from there, it's over here, back to the start.
Yeah. Yeah.
So isn't that a good spot to be in?
Yeah, it's an amazing spot to be in. But that's the thing about the disbelief. It's like, I don't really believe that we're there, you know?
But like a flash crash can happen, like no problem. You just have some great,
and then you just pick
but
up.
Then it can recover. It can recover very quickly from that.
Look, if you have any cash on the sidelines, you'll be desperately hoping for a flash crash, wouldn't you? Of some big world event that crashes everything, and you just go, "Fuck! Now's my time to scoop it up."
Yeah, but what's good about where I think we are in, I mean, just from the sentiment side of things, what's good about this is we've just done 2 difficult years. We've just had 2 difficult years. I don't think the next 2 years is going to be the same. I feel like we're sort of, it's going to be nice. We're in the nice part of it. Like, this is where we slowly get to watch it, build up again. Yeah. Hopefully.
Absolutely. Hopefully. I mean, 2020 was that's at the end of 2019 was when HEX launched. And then 2020, I only found out about HEX in like, I think end of May 2020. And it had already done that big God whale pump. And it actually, there's a lot of other things that were popping off before HEX. HEX actually took a while before it popped. Like, it took the halvening, and then after the halvening, there was a few months of,
because the halvening was in 2020.
2021. So the big payday, sorry. Yeah, but the halvening was in 2020. Yeah, it was like around April 2020. And then 6 months later.
The big payday was in 2020 as well.
No, 2021. Oh yeah, 2020. End of 2020, yeah.
End of 2020, yeah.
Yeah. And then 2021 was like, it was when HEX finally got up to one penny, hey? And then it went really quickly.
No. It got up to 1 penny in 2020.
Did it? You sure?
100%. It got up to 2 cents. It got up to 2 cents on New Year's Eve. I remember, because you sang an Italian song on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Do you remember? In 2021, January the 1st, New Year's Day, you had that Italian song that you knew how to sing. And
we up to a penny by then.
We went up to 2 cents at that point. We'd already been up to 2 cents. Yeah.
That was Steph. That was Steph who did that New Year's. Wasn't it? I
What
think he
was that?
admitted it later. Steph. That was Steph who doubled the price on New Year's, or someone did. Hey.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know who did that.
I think he admitted it, or
And then
he tweeted about it.
think about that, right? So we should just look at the friggin' chart rather than trying to make this up.
Memories. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I need to go and find an old chart though. That's the problem.
Oh yeah, there was. There's. Oh, look at. I think it's called hexchart.com.
Look at HEX
which
chart.
has the whole history. Yeah. I think that's it. Chart.com.
Okay. Give me a log.
Beautiful.
All right. So let me. This is HEX. So this is 17th. That's the Feb. This is the gold whale pump here.
Mm-hmm.
The gold whale pump.
And there's big
So
payday.
yeah, we've never gone back down past the gold whale pump. Okay, and this here is just, remember it dumped before big payday. Do you remember that?
Yes. Didn't it get up to a seventh of a penny though, or did it?
November it got up to 1.3 or 1.4 cents.
We just touched it then. Just quickly went over a penny and then came back. And was dumped.
No, it went. It went over a penny, but it was there for like a couple of days, like 1 or 2 days, and then before it dumped down. It dumped down before big payday, which was the 18th of November, and then after that it went back up. So by the 1st of January, we were already back up to. Oh, it was only 1.5 cents. So my memory is not right. Yeah, so it was 1.5 cents on the 1st of January, and then from there, it was just like, because 2021 was just like up the whole way up.
That pump from like 1 penny to 10 cents. We were on stream. I remember we were doing a stream for that. A lot of that when we passed 10 cents, we were on like Unwrecked, you, me. I think we were all on stream.
So it was here at the lowest part, like in Feb 2021, you could have still bought it for around the same price it is right now, right? Just here. And then from Feb 2021, like late Feb 2021, I think you could even say just the end of Feb. From March onwards, it basically went from under a cent to 56 cents in the course of, that's like March through to the start of September. So March, April, May, June, July, August, September. In 7 months. It's 7 months. It just blew, like it blew the socks off everyone.
Yeah.
And it was a weird top as well. Like, look at the top. Right? Let's just check out this top that it did. It didn't like do a blow off top.
No, it rounded. Hey,
it sort of got up there and sort of just bumped around.
It wanted to keep going.
It bumped around that 40 to 50 cent mark for like, dude, for like over a month. Right. And then it started coming down, and like, you know, a lot of us thought, like, you know, this thing might still keep going, you know.
Well, now you have all of the kind of the pulse sack and the pulse X sack, which would have affected.
Actually, the pulse sack was before time high.
So that led the pump, hey?
That was around. I think that was around here, because I remember it being in this 15 to, and it went up to 18 cents and then it came back down, right? So this here was the Pulse SAC, and I'm not sure when the Pulse X SAC was. It was probably in this area here, around here somewhere. And then after that, I've got PTSD. So
it's hard. It's also hard after the fork to sort of like, how do you, like, what chart do you look at? Do you look at a checks, like the combined, or do you, but then there's other people coming in and they don't give a fuck about the combined price. They just want to know what probably is the Pulse one is, or the ETH one is.
That's good. It's good that they don't give a fuck about the combined price.
It's difficult to look at the chart, because all of a sudden it's not a simple price chart that you can just see it go. It's like, well, no, you could read. There's all sorts of different, information you could include that or not include.
What's going to be interesting, dude, is if we look at. So how do I get PHEX here? Can I get PHEX on this website?
I have no idea.
I'm going to have to go elsewhere. So what's this one? Okay.
People are talking about positive vibes. When I was in Japan, I did a lot of like prayers for the HEX price at Shinto temples, or have you know. And I think that's the reason that we're going to go into the next bull.
Okay, so here we go. This is HEX on PulseChain. So speaking of positive vibes, being able to talk about all-time highs on a regular basis is great for positive vibes, isn't it? So just bear in mind where we are on the HEX on the PulseChain. HEX on Pulse.
Mm-hmm.
We're at 1.473 cents. But the all-time high is like, if I want to count this wick up to 4.3 cents, but really it's like about 3 cents, right? Mm-hmm. So we don't have that far to go. Let's just say a 3x to go.
Not even. Yeah.
We do a 3x from here, and we're all-time highs on PulseChain. And then we get to just say new all-time highs, like new all-time highs. Every time it just it goes to 4 cents, 5 cents, 6 cents, 7, 8, 13, 25, like all new all-time highs. Whereas on Ethereum, it's different because there's all these levels that you need to. There's all these you have to test on the way through.
Can you switch to the price in Pulse? I'm just curious what HEX has done compared to Pulse, like without the USD kind of, because there was a lot of look, wow, that's super.
It's doing great against Pulse.
Up and to the right, basically.
Up and to the right against Pulse.
Yeah.
Looking good.
How do you think this is going to play out, this whole SEC thing with Richard? Like in terms of the price?
I think it's a big nothing burger, mate. I think it's a big nothing burger. Yeah.
I think it's a bit more than that. I think that it's actually quite bullish. Because it's going to be
no, but what I mean.
And so as we head
let me tell you what I mean by that. Let me tell you what I mean by when I say nothing burger.
Yeah.
The part of the market that where all that exuberance happens, no one is caring about the SEC. No one cares about the SEC. No one is referring to them to see whether something's this or that. At that time, when that part of the cycle is happening, it's going to happen no matter what the SEC is saying.
But the thing is, as it's new eyeballs. So as information from that trial comes out, and there'll be publicity to some extent in more mainstream kind of press. So it's basically more eyeballs. And if like the documentary comes out as well, like on an online release, which you'd think would happen, has got to happen, you know, soonish. Like I think it's
what the movie. Did you say the movie? That's going to be a slow burn though, dude, because if that's just on a streaming platform, right? That's going to be good in 3 years' time as well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's not like I'm not. My expectation is not this like big like movement in the price just because
the movie
of that thing. There might be a bit of like, you know, buy the rumor, sell the news type like activity by people already in the market. They're like, oh, this is going to be bullish for it, so I'm going to buy it the second that it comes out because I think other people are going to buy it. I think, you know, sort of thing might happen. But where the real benefit's going to be is over time, as like more and more people watch that documentary. How are they not going to, like, you have to be like the opposite of curious. You need to be like just some, I don't know, to watch something like that and not be, first of all, like to watch something like that, you already care about crypto. You already have some
not necessarily
passive interest.
You could just be interested.
No, you might just be interested, but you need to have, like, dude, someone who doesn't care at all about crypto and that sort of thing is probably not gonna. Someone who's like maybe open to crypto might watch it, but someone who's totally not interested in crypto probably will just not. Do you know what it's like? It's like my wife watches.
Not at all interested in crypto. Every single person.
My wife watches. Dude, my wife's not interested in crypto. I'll tell you right now, she's not. She's interested when it pumps.
Yeah,
right. Last 2 years, she hasn't been interested.
But she's got.
But I was going to say, she watches like these telenovelas.
New money? What? Like, come on, there's got to be some level of interest, no? I mean, most people I meet, they're curious at the very least, or they think it's like they have ideas about it, preconceived notions about it. But there's definitely kind of like, you know, they know about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, if it's a good doco, I mean, I haven't seen it, so I don't know. But from what I gather, like I was also asking this on board, like, because I got them to see the film, and it was like, so, and I was asking them if new people saw the film, do you think they'd be interested in, they would buy Hex or Pulse from seeing that film? And they said, well, yeah. And she said, well, yeah, I am, for sure. Like, she's getting FOMO. So I guess it'll play out and we'll see, hey? I'm still super bullish on a mainstream doco release, like, it's huge.
Oh, dude,
massive.
But it's going to be
crypto, you know.
I think it's just going to be this slow burn of positivity, like slow burn of onboards over time. It's just, that's what's so great about it. It's just going to be like a slow, like, because not everyone's going to watch it. It comes out, let's say, it comes out on Netflix or wherever, or Amazon or wherever it comes out.
If it comes out online, it's gonna fucking we're gonna make it go viral. But like, people are gonna.
Oh, dude,
like,
I will send that to everyone.
Exactly.
Everyone.
Exactly. You'll have no qualms about sending that to everyone you know.
I will text message. I've never actually done a text message to everyone in my phone book.
There you go.
I will do a text message to everyone in my phone book, just saying, hey, like, I know I haven't been in touch for ages or whatever. Like, most of these people, I probably don't even know who they are anymore.
Like, stop spamming. Who are you, spammer?
I'm just gonna spam. I'm just gonna send everyone in my the same message.
Yeah,
check out this doco on.
You have no
on
qualms
Netflix.
about doing that because it's entertainment at the very least. You know what I mean? And it's good quality entertainment, probably, from the sounds of it. So you would have no like, I'm not going to send everyone I know, you got to get into hex.com. But like that movie, I would easily send to
it's
tons
the
of
best onboarding. It is the best, easiest onboarding.
It's like, check out this doco. Oh, sure, I'll watch a doco. Like, especially if it's good and funny, and you know,
exactly.
visually beautiful and all that. The thing is, I think we underestimate how much publicity his court case is going to get us. I think it's going to be, or maybe it'll just be crypto people who are just tuned into what is happening, and they all pretty much know about Richard already.
Well, what's going to make it interesting is he might get some high profile. He might get some. Richard Hart might get some high profile interviews from, like some, you know, because it's a legit thing that mainstream will be interested in interviewing him, especially if he's successful. If he's successful, you don't think that he's going to beat that drum? He's going to beat that drum so hard, man, and so he should, because that would be such a fantastic thing for DeFi.
Yeah.
You know, it just means that the way that it would be so vindicating for him as well. It means that everything that he's done for upwards of 5 years now, because we're almost 4 years in HEX, right? We're almost 4 years in HEX, and he was building it for a year beforehand. So it would be the culmination of 5 years of work, and I can only imagine how vindicating that would feel for him to have that work out positively.
Can I tell you what made me incredibly happy? Kinetics and was it Crypto Coffee and Kinetics who put together the
amicus brief petition? Yeah,
I hired a certain lawyer to do that, and this lawyer is brilliant. I've been watching his kind of podcasts for a couple of years now. He is like his name. They have a podcast called Viva Barnes Law. His name is Robert Barnes. And I often watch his geopolitical analysis with another of my favorite kind of geopolitical podcasts, the Duran. And he is so brilliant and so onto it. And I'm just really happy that he even knows about this case, let alone that he helped work on this amicus brief. It's like, and if he's even if he just talks about it on his podcast at some point, like that's going to be brilliant publicity. And he's the guy and he's just a brilliant lawyer. You just know he is, the way he's just really onto it. And it's like,
what's it called?
The podcast is called Viva Barnes. Yeah, it's called Viva. They're on Locals. Like, I'll find the Locals. Actually, the name of their. They're on YouTube and they're also on Rumble. They do a show where they start off on YouTube and then do most of it over on Rumble. And I'm just going to log into something. And they, like, every Sunday night, American time, they do a kind of what's happened in the week in regards to all sorts of different court cases. They do it around the kind of courts kind of thing about all sorts of interesting stuff. So their Locals is called Viva Barnes Law. So VIVABARNES Law, LAW. And yeah, you can like look them up on Locals or on Rumble. Viva Barnes Law.
Oh, dude, I'm so sore right now. This morning I went for a 6K run, and then when I got back from the run, I needed to do some work in the garden. So from about 7:45 till midday, I just worked in the garden. I had the whole boundary of one boundary of my property that I haven't done any gardening on it for like 6 months, and it just looked horrific. It looked horrific, and I just spent that time. I had to like dig it all up. I had to shake out the dirt out of all the weeds that were there, and like, dude, and then I did some pruning a few, like maybe a couple of months back, and then all the trees and all the branches that I pruned, I got someone to come in and then just churn them all up. So I have all the like the tan bark type mulch stuff, and I had like a big pile of that. So now I'm just distributing all of that in like the garden bed so I don't get as many weeds. But dude, I haven't worked so hard I can't think the last time I worked so hard. I lost 4 kilos
one afternoon.
in one morning. I lost 4 kilos. Dude, this morning when I woke up.
Mayo's asking if you fought any ruse.
No ruse.
But it's so satisfying though, that kind of work though, isn't it? Like working with the earth, you know, like.
So when I finished, I jumped in the shower, and they're like, when I got out of the shower, I was so dehydrated, right? I was so dehydrated that just bending my arm, like I started cramping up really, really badly.
Yeah.
Like really badly. Just like bending my arm at the elbow and lifting it up to my head, like the muscles in my forearm, like just near my elbow, started cramping up. So I couldn't actually lift up my hands to dry my hair. Like I could not do anything, dude. I couldn't do anything. It was so weird. It was so weird to have that.
The towel on your head. Like to dry your head.
I could not bend my elbows because I was just cramping up everywhere. Wow. So I needed to get some salt into me.
Salt into there. Yeah. And breathe deeply, I think.
Some magnesium, yeah. Some magnesium, potassium. Dude, it wasn't cramps just like old age cramp. It was cramps from just being completely dehydrated. My muscles, like, dude, like Mayo, Mayo said get some magnesium in you for cramps, but you know that if you lose 4 kilos of water weight in 4 hours, that's no joke. That's some serious shit, man.
Yeah, that's a lot, hey?
That's a lot, dude. It's a lot.
And
I've never lost that much.
That'd be like 5% of your body weight or something, hey? Or a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I used to do jiu-jitsu,
beautiful day today, though.
It was a beautiful day. When I used to do jiu-jitsu, when I used to compete in jiu-jitsu, and I used to have like those really long, hard training sessions and the comp training sessions, I used to like maybe 3 kilos was the max I remember, like fluctuating from before a training session to after, like we'd weigh ourselves to see like how much, and like 3 kilos. But I was like drinking all the right stuff. To this morning, I just went out and did all this crazy, hard work and lost more than I've ever lost before. And my body started to just like not accept it. My body was just like, you got to get some.
Yeah.
I had to dude, I needed some salt. I needed to just drink water and get some salt electrolytes into me. But yeah, bit of a tangent.
Where is Tangent, Nat? And where is everyone? Sammy?
He could. Tangent wasn't making it this week because
Sammy Secker says she can't come. She's got to get up at 5 a.m. tomorrow. I was hanging out with Sammy today. That was pretty fun. Sammy,
what'd you do?
We just went and had lunch somewhere. Yeah, I'm back in Melbourne for a bit, so got to catch up with everyone.
Yeah, we caught up the other day as well.
Yeah, that was fun. It's good.
I'm still thinking about that. That panini I had.
Yeah,
it was so good. Panino with cruda di Parma.
Dude, the food in Australia is just, it's pretty fucking good, man. Pretty good. Like world class. You don't get breakfast anywhere in the world like you do in Australia.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got pretty good breakfast.
Bloody good coffee as well. Like, yeah, next level.
I've got some video stuff, man. I would be interested to hear your thoughts on them. So I'll just play. Tell me what you think, mate.
Days ago, the Japanese yen crashed past the psychologically important line of 150 yen to the dollar. This had been considered an unbreachable line by the Bank of Japan, their version of the Fed, but apparently they failed. This is giving rise to warnings that Japan could spark the next global financial crisis. So what's happening in Japan? In short, their zombie economy, fortified by extravagant levels of public spending at zero interest rates, means that investors can currently make roughly 4 to 6 times more investing in the US or Europe than in Japan. This is sucking trillions out of Japan, which means selling metric tons of yen for foreign currencies. So there's too many yen, meaning cheap yen. So far, this giant sucking sound has dropped the yen 20% against the euro, while it's lost almost a third against the US dollars since 2021. In fact, the yen is now the weakest since the bubble economy burst way back in the late 80s when Bryan Adams was topping the charts. This is all a problem because it raises prices for Japan's imports, most notably energy, of which Japan imports nearly 100%, and food, where Japan imports roughly 2/3 of what it eats. In US dollar terms, all of those are now 50% more expensive than before the fall of the yen. Toss in industrial imports from ores and metals to machinery, which make everything more expensive for Japanese consumers. Now, Japanese household income has been flat for 25 years, so a 50% hike in prices is pretty rough. The problem is the solution to a weak yen is to raise interest rates to erode that 4 to 6 times gap. But the Bank of Japan cannot raise rates, partly because the Japanese economy is too weak, but mostly because Japan has built a turbocharged version of the debt trap that Washington is busy building for the rest of us. Public debt in Japan is currently 267% of GDP, which would translate into roughly 60 trillion in US terms. To illustrate the problem, at the current target of 1% yield, roughly 1/4 of Japan's government budget goes to debt service. But if the Bank of Japan raised rates to US levels, so that would be about 5% on the long bond, debt service would become 125% of government spending. Of course, the rest of government still needs money, from defense to highways, so call it a clean doubling. Now, Japan already takes 1/3 of GDP in tax, and the top rate is 45%, so doubling tax revenue is impossible. You would be close to Soviet levels of government dominance. So what's next? Brought to you by Unchained. What's next is Japan's slow-motion train wreck may be about to get a lot faster because inflation is finally rising. This is pushing both the government and the Bank of Japan to pump out yet more money. This could become a cycle where they pump out fresh money to defend rates and defend the yen, but that fresh money itself raises rates and crashes the yen because of future expectations on inflation. This market-driven rise in rates is already starting to happen here in the US, and we're at half of Japan's debt level. Japan has built itself a leviathan of debt big enough that it could spark the global debt reckoning. On the bright side, it could warn Washington off the suicidal path it's currently taking. On the dark side, it will be brutal on the Japanese people and could spread sovereign debt contagion that makes 2008 look like a cakewalk. Yesterday's newsletter talked about this very thing. Check it out at petersatange.com. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.
What do you reckon, man? Scary stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you can only kick the can down the road for so long, and they've already been kicking the can down the road for. They've been doing it for a long time already, and you know, there's that whole domino effect.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how it's going to play out. I remember things being pretty cheap in Japan though. Like I was only there like a couple of months ago and I was just thinking, wow, this is way cheaper than I thought. I thought Japan was really expensive, but things were much cheaper than I thought. Like just food and accommodation and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, you can't. How long can you survive when all you're doing, when you're a zombie? Essentially, your country is a zombie company, where you can't even, print enough money to pay off your interest. Like, I mean, how long?
The only cure, the only cure is to have like, I mean, as far as I understand, the
cure is crypto. That's what the cure is.
Well, the cure, I mean, not the cure is to have monetary policy that is not determined by a handful of people.
Government.
No, I mean, just monetary policy that is, based on a set of rules or some maths. And when we need to take our medicine, we take our medicine.
That's it. That's
like when
no one wants to take their medicine in the end. That's what it is, eh? Banks don't want to take their medicine. Countries don't want to take their medicine. They want to spend it on crazy crap that is not productive, like wars.
So a good example of like today in Australia, the RBA raised interest rates by 25 basis points.
What's that up to now?
So I think it's 4.25 or 4.35, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the RBA rate. That's not what you'll get from a bank.
Yeah, but that's the kind of,
like
they set the tone.
A business rate from a bank is probably going to be close to 8%.
So they're trying to hold in inflation, basically, the cost of things. They're trying to hold it down.
They're trying to get people to spend less money. So they just take more out of your paycheck. It's a weird, dude. It is a weird system.
There's so many
it's such a strange. It's so strange
about our monetary system. Like there's so many wrong on so many different levels for so many different things. Like, I mean, I don't even remember like the whole goods and services tax. I just remember when they were bringing that in, I was like, well, you want to have economic growth? Why do you want to start taxing economic growth? Like, it doesn't make any sense at all.
I actually think, dude, I think might be something I disagree with you on.
Really?
I actually don't. I think
it's better than an income tax, maybe. Or...
Well, it taxes consumption. It's a consumption tax. So you pay tax based on how much you consume. So if you have a lot of money and you want to go buy expensive stuff and nice stuff, then you're going to pay more tax than someone who's, and so in Australia, at least, our consumption tax, our sales tax is 10%. So it's not very high. Like if you're going to compare it to the world, because in Europe or in Italy, at least, I think it's 23%, dude.
Yeah, but you think about it, like that money could be going to actual people who end up being able to spend it on other stuff, and that's how you grow economies. That's how.
Yeah, but you also like the idea of going to a hospital and them being able to fix your broken arm if that's what you have.
They got Medicare for that.
So
they got like that's Medicare. That's a separate.
No.
Medicare is a completely separate.
No. GST is what funds the states for all of their budget. GST funds the states.
Okay.
Right. So they get their budget.
There are state taxes as well.
There are state taxes as well. There are state taxes like land tax, right? Land tax is a state estate tax in Australia, but the GST gets divvied up. So it's not like Victoria collects this much GST and they get that much GST. It gets divvied up, and some states get more, some states get less. The federal government decides how they discuss it, they work it all out, and
see where they
then the states but the states then use that money to fund education, hospital. That's what they need to. They're in charge of education and health, right?
No, but health is like Medicare is like a separate thing, isn't it? Like there's
the Medicare levy is just an extra thing that they collect from your income.
Yeah,
that's based on income, but that's just an extra. That's an extra levy, and you know what they say about levies? There's no tax more permanent than a levy. But I mean, look, it's hard. I mean, it's hard. I mean, you don't know what's perfect. No one wants to pay more tax ever. No one wants to, but we all do want to know that we all want to be able to go to a hospital and get our broken arm fixed.
It'd be okay if there wasn't so much corruption. Like, but because there's so much corruption and so much obvious corruption, like that, there's only 4 banks and they have a monopoly and they can borrow from the Reserve Bank and then put that money back in the Reserve Bank and get more interest than like it costs them to borrow that money.
It's interesting. It's interesting that you
for free. Like there's like so much ridiculous levels of corruption. And what we're seeing now have you seen all these ASIC, like there's a parliamentary inquiry into ASIC at the moment, and like the stuff that's coming out is just like this is pretty crazy. There's also another like what is it, an anti-corruption thing happening at the moment in Australia, which is not in the media at all. No one knows about it, but they've had tons of submissions.
NAC. It's called NAC.
Yeah, that one.
The National Anti-Corruption Commission. It's only just been formed July 2023.
Yeah, but they've already had thousands of submissions, and a whole lot have gone through the second round and stuff like that. And like part of that is that if you know about corruption and you don't report it, you are corrupt by definition. And so it's kind of the rats are like, I think the rats are trying to jump off the sinking ship, hey?
Well, this is new, dude. This is a new federal agency.
Well, this year it's been around since the middle of the year, hey? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this was what Richard could have been referring to when he said, like, 'cause we can make submissions to this. If you know of any corruption, you can make a submission to it.
I think he was talking about the misinformation bill.
Maybe,
because everything that and there is a website called binthebill.info if you're an Australian and you want to contact a senator in your state or all the senators in your state. I suggest you do, because they need to hear from the public so that they can form their opinion if they haven't already done so. Maybe you can help form their opinion. Maybe you can be the person that makes them see things from a different angle. Get ChatGPT to help you formulate a letter. There's some, ideas on that website, binthebill.info. And yeah, you can perhaps look. I mean, last week when we were talking, I was talking to Tangent, and he's like, "Man, I've had enough of all these submissions and things. It's like I'm just having overload with it." And it feels a bit like that, but it's never been easier. It's never been easier than it is right now to be able to make these submissions, and it doesn't take very long. It's worth doing. it's worth doing. Because if we like this whole thing, like the whole apathy thing, oh, there's nothing we can do. Well,
yeah, it's a big part of the problem, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got to do something. You actually just have to do something. Oh, there's sorry, free speech is saying
there's a new crypto. Is that Australian? Is it? There's a new crypto bill open for comment.
Open for comment. Still trying to get my head around. Could you post something here about it, just so that we can look into it? Because look, there's the thing about all these things, like this misinformation bill, for example. Misinformation bill. It's an amendment to an existing bill act, and the changes would mean that a government agency will have the power to censor social media posts and these sorts of things. Not really.
And of course, there are exemptions for anyone in government or corporations. It's just individuals that want to be able to censor.
Yeah. So we don't. Yeah, we don't. It's ridiculous stuff. It's sort of what you would expect, like a totalitarian, like an authoritarian regime to, like the sort of power that they would want to have. Because, and this is the thing you need to think about. If you think that this is a good idea, you need to think about it. If the opposition, like the other team, gets in power and they try and shut you down because you're not the government, and they try and shut you down with what you're saying under the guise of it being misinformation. I think, defending our freedom we don't actually have a freedom of speech in Australia per se, like the US does, but we need to try and defend overreach when we see it. And I think this is an example of that. But this feeds in really nicely into a clip I've got of Edward Snowden, who did an interview with Jack Dorsey, who was the creator of Twitter. So I'll just play this clip and tell me what you think.
But there's one more thing that I want to get to on that. And it's this sense that government is something that's being done to us now, that we don't really have meaningful control over. Like government is a natural disaster. And government actually likes that. Whatever country you're in, right? They want to be left alone to govern, to make decisions, to order, to regulate. And they don't really want a lot of back talk. They don't want agitation. They don't want dissent. They don't want dissidents. There is this idea among the governing classes that if they're just left alone to do their work, things will get better. That there is a comfortable silence, that if you guys would just shut up and let us get to this, we'll fix the problems for you. Don't worry. But that again comes from that false consensus of what the problems are, how they are to be fixed. But the most important point of freedom of speech and the idea of democracy in general is that we get to argue about what the problems are in the first place. And it's very clear to me that there's not agreement in that today, but there is agreement within the institution that government is the answer. And I think that's dangerous. So the more free speech, the more free protocols, the more creative people striving to create alternative ways to interact, the better. Because otherwise these problems are going to be solved for us. And I think in ways that are historically harmful. I think they already have been, and I think they'll get worse.
Absolutely.
That was him chatting to Jack Dorsey. Does Jack Dorsey have a new show or something?
No, that was at a I'm not sure if you've heard of this protocol called Noster.
No.
It's a like a social media. It's like a social media protocol on
A decentralized
like
one.
yeah, built on Bitcoin.
Oh, okay, right.
So if you run a node, you can run like if you run a Bitcoin node, you can run like a Noster client, I guess, or whatever it is, or a Noster node. And it's like based on like you have, it's like you have private keys, like you have like the words or whatever. So, and if you lose your account, you lose it. You can't like recover it or anything. It's like, but
Okay.
it's the thing about the thing that's interesting about it is that you can't censor it. It can't be censored.
Nice. Has it got a lot of shows on it, or what is it, Noster.io or something, or Noster.com, or what?
Sorry, say that again.
Noster.com, hey?
Nostr. I just look it up. It's Nostr. Nostr. Noster.
It's Noster.com. We should be like streaming on all of these things, hey?
I don't know if it's a streaming. It's sort of more like a Twitter type thing. Yeah, it's more like a Twitter type thing, but and it's early days for it as well. So who knows how? But the thing that's good about it is that it is that decentralized. It's DeFi. You know. Yeah. Oh, this is a good point. Good question. Something we should bring up. What are our thoughts on IPFS and the new hex.com links to front ends, etc.? Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think I love this type of stuff. I'm a massive fan of this type of stuff. I like IPFS. I like the being able to run a local hex server. I like being able to run a local version of ETH/HEX. I like being able to do all the stuff locally myself. I prefer it. That's me. I prefer doing stuff like that. Other people don't. Other people just want to be able to go to a website. And there are still plenty of websites out there. So you still have icosa.pro, app.icosa.pro, which allows you to start hex stakes, end hex stakes. It allows you to do all your Hedron, icosa, minting and staking. So in some ways, app.icosa.pro is a better front end. Like if you're going to look for a website, that's a better front end than go.hex.com. From the perspective that you can just, you're probably not going to forget to mint your Hedron if you're doing your end staking there, you know?
Yeah, I think it's great. Oh, it's awesome. There's more kind of options, you know. I guess we just have to like make it really simple for people to learn about what's happening and how to use everything. But that's really up to us.
Super easy, dude. It's super easy. I ran the hex server. Have you done it?
Yeah, but it is sort of like extra steps that a noob is going to be going, oh fuck, what am I doing? You know what I mean?
Wouldn't expect.
Okay? Yeah.
I wouldn't expect a noob to use that. Okay, I have no expectation that noobs will go and use that.
So what do you think a noob would use? Just icosa, app.icosa.pro?
I think a noob is just going to want to use a website.
Like Go or whatever. Which one do you reckon is the best? Do you reckon the icosa one's the best one? I mean, I like Hedron and that, yeah.
I use that one because I don't forget the Hedron to mint Hedron, or you know, when I'm end staking. But there are other good ones, like there's hexcrypto.com. That's the Hex Toys one. And they actually released they've got their websites on GitHub. So if you want to run your own, If you want to run your own website, you can. They actually did a tweet this week saying, "Hey, if you want to use our code to run your own, go for it."
Mm.
So people can host if they want to do host a website, host a HEX crypto website. They can do that themselves. No worries. All the code's out there. This is the thing about this community that I love. We've got a lot of builders, and this comes back to that idea that was put out there. Maybe even a couple of years ago, maybe even longer, maybe 3 years ago, that the whole just-in-time code or just-in-time. You remember there was like that whole talk of just-in-time liquidity or just-in-time solutions or just-in-time code. That's what this feels like. It's like, okay, we sort of maybe right now that hex.com domain needs to lay a bit low. Maybe that's in the best interests of, maybe that's in everyone's best interests.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's also proving a point.
Yeah, and how decentralized it really is. Yeah.
And it's proving the point that, hey, this website doesn't need to have a front end to interact with the contract. Just in time security. That's it. We don't need this front end to interact with the contract. You can just do it yourself on your own computer. And that proves the point that it is the user who runs the code.
Mm.
I think it makes that it makes that clearer, to people, outsiders looking in.
Yeah, and it's also like if they manage to take down all of the internet sites that had any relation to, like, people would still be able to run it all because they have the software on the computer.
Exactly. And we'd all be able to do it without any issues.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Actually, what the internet was originally about. Yeah.
Let me see. I have another clip, which have you heard about Twitter, X releasing their AI for premium users? They haven't released it yet. I think it's in beta for just a select few people. But that's a big thing. They just came out with their own AI version of AI, their own set.
Yeah, I'm still a bit dubious about this whole AI thing. I think people are getting super excited about it, and I understand how it's going to help people in certain things, but I just don't think it's going to be the massive thing, a world-changing thing that everyone sort of thinks it is. But I could be really wrong about that. To me, it seems like
it's called Grok.
Yeah.
Dude, just look at it like
it's another tool, hey? Like
it's a tool, yeah. It just makes you more productive. It just makes you like it can make you, I can imagine if you were to get good at using it, you could, like, instead of being one person, you could be like 5 people. You can really just like
depends on what you're wanting to do, though, really, doesn't it? It's like, what are you talking about, like,
well, reading stuff, like you can just feed things into it and get it to summarize it.
Yeah,
right?
But then it's still like, it's like, but that doesn't give you an understanding, like, of something.
It depends. It depends what it is, mate. It depends what it is, right? So in some instances, like if you're, I think that it really does depend what it is. But if you just need to get an overview of something, sometimes you can get it to summarize it. You can get it to formulate a reply. Yeah. I just think that it's very helpful. You can go in and change it. You go in and it makes
Yeah,
it.
you got a good point. As a programmer, like it's going to be a ton of help for people because you can just whip stuff up more quickly, and you can summarize other stuff that you want to look at. And I imagine it'd really help your workflow as a programmer.
You would write stuff as a programmer, wouldn't you? Like you'd probably just write your code, and then you'd get it to check your code and say, are there any issues, like any syntax errors with like what I'm. Although programs do that automatically anyway, but this might just help on a new level, on a higher level.
Yeah. I can see that. I don't know. Like, I hear a lot of lay people talking about it as well. Like, I was at a family event and everyone was talking about it. And it's just like, I think it's like way more kind of like hyped than it's going to actually affect the layperson so much, maybe.
I think you need to watch this clip that I'm about to play, and I apologize for the clip in advance because it's sort of cut off in a weird way. Like the visual of it is cut off in a weird way, but it's from the Joe Rogan and Mark Andreessen podcast that they did like a couple of months back. And I think that everyone should go back and watch this. It is, it's pretty, I thought it was pretty interesting podcast. They touch on a lot of points. And once again, I do apologize for the visual on this.
It's set up. Right now it's not good. Right. Right now the path that we're on is not good. Like this is what's playing out. The sort of. I mean, it would be nice if there was more popular outrage. Having said that, this is a new topic, and so I understand. People aren't like fully aware of what's.
By the way, just before, like we've jumped into that, they're talking about open source software. They're talking about open source software, and how there's this movement to want to get rid of open source software so that so I'll just
what's happening yet. But the other thing is like it may be the other reason for maybe mild optimism might be the open source movement is developing very quickly now. And so if open source AI gets really good before these regulations can basically be put in place, like they may become somewhat of a moot point.
Really?
And so for anybody looking at this, you want to look at both sides of this. You want to look at what both the companies are doing and what
how would open source mitigate all these issues?
It basically just says instead of this technology being something that's owned and controlled by big companies, it's just going to be technology that's going to be available to everybody, right? And you'll be able to use it for whatever you want, just like I will. And it's the same thing that happened for it's the way the web works. It's the way that anybody can download a web browser. It's the way that anybody can install these free operating systems called Linux. It's one of the biggest operating systems in the world. And so just basically this idea, or Wikipedia or any of these things, where it's sort of a public good. And it's available, for free to anybody who wants it. And then there's communities of volunteers on the internet and companies that actually contribute a lot into this because companies can build on top of this technology. And so the hope here would be that there's going to be an open source movement kind of counterbalancing what the companies do.
And if the open source movement does take hold, if people recognize this as being a real serious threat and start applying, just using whatever it is, whether it's Minds or the various open source social media networks, don't you think the government would somehow or another try to regulate that as well if they've already got control over Facebook and Twitter? And
well, that's the threat. So the threat always is that they're going to come in and do that, and that is what they're threatening to do. That there is energy in Washington by people trying to figure out how to regulate or ban open source. Having said that, banning open source, like interfering at that level, carries consequences with it. And so, and there are serious proposals from serious people to do what I'm about to describe. Do you run a software program on everybody's own computer, right? Watching everything that they do, because you have to make sure that they're not running software they're not supposed to be running. Do you have basically an agent built into everybody's chip so that it's not running, software that's not supposed to be running, right? And then what do you do when somebody's running unapproved software? Do you send somebody to their house to take their computer away? Right. And then if you can't do that, there's a proposal for the AI safety people have a proposal that basically says if there's a rogue if there's a data center running AI that is not registered to the government, not being monitored, that there should be airstrikes. Right.
Jesus.
Yeah. There should be Time Magazine, a big piece in Time Magazine about 2 months ago, where one of these guys who runs this kind of AI risk kind of world says, clearly we should have military airstrikes on data centers that are running unapproved AIs.
Pretty crazy, huh?
Airstrikes on data centers running unapproved AIs, but an open source. That's just like,
so that is
kind of
there are
really
people out there who are pushing that very hard in the US at the moment. And that's what they were talking about. Like there are people, lobbyists out there that are pushing that very, very hard.
I'm sure there are. There are fantasists who want to control everything, you know. But it's like
that's
how
how
I don't know.
That's how that goes, and that's how that would that. If that happens, that's how that
It doesn't
goes.
work though. It doesn't work though, because then everyone just buys their computers. Like if America said, right, all your computers have to have this chip in which we can control everything from, then everyone's just going to get black market computers that don't have the chip, or they're going to get like there's going to be ways around it. Like
there'll be people who will jailbreak them and hack.
Exactly.
Like remember, do you remember when like people had Nintendo Wii's and you would like go and get it, like someone would hack it, or a PlayStation, and someone would do the mod and they would modify it. There was like something they could do to modify it, which would allow you to play like copied games.
Yeah. Dude,
do you remember that shit?
I don't remember that one specifically, but I remember there was some like thing you played of tones into the telephone that would like allow you to get free calls or something like that. There was something there's always going to be like humans are going to innovate. You chuck up barriers like that, and I guarantee you the government are going to be completely inept at trying to implement anything like that as well. Because what has the government ever done which is actually like really efficient and successful? They don't do that. They're good at making laws.
Waste money.
They're good at making laws, and they have fantasies about how they're going to control stuff. But the practicalities of how they're going to do something like that, I just don't believe that they're going to get anywhere near that. Like, even if they do, like in their like this full fascism comes in and they decide to, and the thing is, as soon as you have laws which are not working, that people aren't following, it makes those governments. It shows how powerless they really are. And so it's actually like counter.
Oh, look, I agree with you, dude. I agree with you that it's very unlikely that this push against open source can actually, get up and work out. Like, I don't think that's realistic. However, if no one does anything to fight against that and to talk about how important free open source software is, then then we acquiesce, and then they can just win by default. So I think that we have to have our arguments ready. We have to know why free and open source software is important, and why shutting it down is.
They have free speech enshrined in the Constitution. So if anything, what he's proposing there would be completely unconstitutional. So, like, sure, they've got a lot of stuff which is probably unconstitutional now that their government is doing, but like to actually get chips in every single computer in America, like, I don't know, it's just it's a fantasist's kind of like dystopia, like it's someone's imagination, and it's the imaginary horribles, you know what I mean? And you can come up with all sorts of imaginary horribles, but what's the actual reality of something like that actually happening? I just don't buy it, to be honest.
Yep. Yeah,
I'll go and listen to that. I'll go and listen to the podcast.
Oh, it's not. That's only a very small clip out of the like. They're not banging on about that the whole. They talk about AI a fair bit, but it's a great dude. What he talks about how AI in future is going to be like your personal assistant, and it's going to be someone that it's going to be someone that can help you diagnose if you're not feeling well better than a doctor.
I'm sorry, man. That's this whole horse shit. I don't believe that.
Dude. Like, all right, dude. This is not. This is something that you should go and watch it, and then tell me what your thoughts are.
I'll go and watch it for sure. Look, I used to read his blog. I used to like try to track his. I used to really like listening to him. That was years ago, though.
He's still smart, man.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
he's not like he hasn't fallen off.
I just think that there's a lot of fear porn out there, and it's kind of like, don't get sucked into it, you know? Like,
well, he's
humans-
not. He's when you say fear, that I feel like the fear stuff is the anti-AI stuff. Is all the fear stuff. It's like if there's anything fear related to AI, it's the fear that AI is going to kill us all and get too powerful. That's the fear stuff.
People have these kind of weird ideas that the AI is going to take over and then shit like this. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, so you've got a glorified search engine, which kind of like, okay, can help programmers a lot, and it's, you know, maybe help copywriters.
It's not really a search engine. It's like the way he explains it. The way he explains it is like really, really interesting. It's like it doesn't work like a search engine. The way it works is like autocomplete. Think about when you're writing a sentence on your computer and like it auto completes one word, right? It's like it just automatically knows that word should go there. So what this is just think about a really, really complex version of autocomplete, but just using all the data from everywhere. And that's why it can be creative and come up. If you ask it the same question 10 times, it's not going to give you the same, like it might give you the same specifics, but it's not going to be written the same way because that's the way it works. It's a very interesting podcast. I learned a lot listening to it just about how, you know, because we have some preconceived notions of what AI is, and he sort of explains it in a different way. There's no fear. He just explains what, you know, from his perspective.
It's just, to me, it's kind of like humans are so much more intelligent than a machine will ever be. And my evidence for that are stand-up comedians. And like, you will never get an AI that can do an hour of stand-up and make people piss themselves laughing. Sorry, you just can't. There's no way. It takes too much of a level of intelligence to do something like that have that level of creativity. And you can come up with all the nuts and bolts and try to piece shit together, but humans like have this thing called intuition, where we can look at a whole lot of complex variables and not even know why we think something is going to happen, but we just allow, through our intuition, we allow those complex variables to be, and we can have answers which are truly creative and innovative. And it's like,
I agree with you. There may be things that AI can't do, can't replicate. However, there's already many, many, many things that AI can do that humans can't do. Like many, many, many things. It's like the sheer speed.
Number crunching shit. It's all just like,
it's number crunching shit.
It's not real intelligence.
I think I agree with you. I agree. It's not actually real intelligence. It's just using the input data to come up with something that resembles an answer. You know, it's number crunching, but that number crunching can be useful.
Yeah,
you know
sure,
what I mean?
absolutely. Like, that's why it's a good tool. You know what I mean? But just like a search engine is a good tool,
it's a great
tool. Or Wikipedia is a good tool, but you don't believe everything you read on Wikipedia. Like, we know how.
Oh, no way, dude.
You know? Exactly.
Yeah, it's dude.
My Swiss Army pocket knife is a good tool, but I don't call my Swiss Army pocket knife intelligent. What you do with it,
I'm not. Yeah. I mean, so are you objecting to the name AI more than anything?
Maybe a little bit, yeah. And also, but what I'm objecting to is the hype that it's garnering at the moment, and how much like people think it's going to radically change.
It's legit.
Society.
I don't know. I think that the reason it's such a big deal is because it's only just come out in the last few months. It's only just got really good, and it was by accident. They didn't know that it was going to get so good. It just got really good in the last 6 months or whatever, or year. They knew they were on the cusp of something, and then not too long ago, it just got really, really good, and here it is. And I just think it's a great. I agree, dude. I agree. It's a great tool, and I don't. But this idea that that Mark Andreessen talks about in that podcast, it's very interesting. He talks about how like we'll just have our personalized AI, right? That is used to our inputs, and in some ways will be like tailored to us and respond to us in ways that it knows that we want to be responded to. When I say it knows, it's I'm sort of doing that thing where I'm giving it human characteristics. No, it's just a computer, like crunching numbers.
How are we going to use this personal AI
to help? Let's say you're learning something, you just tell it to explain it to you in a simple form.
Okay.
Explain this in a simple form.
Like that's it, really? I mean, that's
just one.
You're going to use that every day? Like,
I think if you, I think people would use that every day, man. Just think about how much more, you like. All right, so I'll give you an example. I've got a family member overseas who wants to learn programming, and he did a course, right? And he said when he finished the course, he's like, my problem was, he did an online course. My problem was that when I had a question, because it was just an online video course, I had no one I could ask. So it didn't work out. So now he wants to go to like an actual school.
But what do I do now?
No,
what people do now is just
let me finish,
and you'll come up with stuff. Like,
let me finish the but you can be so much more in Google. You're only getting what's on the web, right? It's not drawing on that information and putting like an answer together. That's what AI is doing now. AI is actually
a glorified search engine. That's why
I don't think it's glorified. I don't think glorified. I don't think you're respecting how much better it is than just
a potentially good search engine that gives you a better answer than just Googling for a bit.
But and it's not only that. You can continue asking questions about the topic and not reformulate. You know what I mean? Like you can just be on a topic and then if you've got like, you can have ongoing tabs, and then you can go back to that tab that you were talking. Let's say you've had enough of this topic for today, but then you go back to it in 3 days and it remembers the context of everything you talked about last time.
Yeah.
As you know, with let's say Google or anything, anytime that you got to start again from start, you know, with this, it's you know, and it would over time, if you build up that, it would sort of, and once again, I'm using words that I would use for a human, but it's not, it would just become familiar with what you want it to know or how to respond to you, the sorts of things that the way he says it in this podcast is like, you will just have this, basically, you'll have a friend
who's
that
helping
is
explain
like 140 IQ friend who just wants the best for you and just wants is only doing stuff in your best interests.
If you can trust that friend, knowing that, like Wikipedia, that friend has probably been co-opted by the intelligence services.
That's a different discussion. And I don't know that it's, when you say co-opted, like how is the open source stuff models, how are they co-opted?
Wikipedia co-opted by the intelligence services? I mean,
Wikipedia is controlled by people. It's controlled by
and intelligence
open
services
source.
Yeah, but it's not. It's no, but there are teams because they use the same name and you can see how much they're doing. Like there's certain people's profiles you can go and read, and then you actually go find out about that person. And
dude, Wikipedia sucks, dude. Like I'm no defender of Wikipedia. They just took down all of Andrew Huberman's research. You know who Andrew Huberman is? They took down all of his research, man. The guy is like a very, very accomplished researcher.
There you go. And when you ask your AI about David Huberman, what do you think the AI is going to say?
What do you like? As in, it's gonna draw on.
It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be like you'll have your AI, but if it's like banned, if they've been censoring it, or if they've been disinformation putting disinformation in or misinformation, then you're getting bad info.
Yeah.
So it's how much can you trust personal AI as well?
But that's like saying, well, you can't. How much can you trust any information?
Yeah, exactly. So you have to go around doing, getting it from a whole lot of sources and then make your own judgments. You know what I mean?
But it's not only about getting information. It's not only about that. It's also about like
organizing information,
productivity, making like summarize this information. Like you actually feed it information. So there's so many things that it can help with. And I agree with you, dude. Like I see a lot of potential in it, but I like on a day-to-day basis, how much am I using it? Not like I've found myself using it more often. Like I've been using it like daily. Do you know what I've been using? I've been using Bing. Bing has like ChatGPT 4 and DALL-E. It's like for free. So I've just been using that, not to do anything like personal information or anything, just like, generate me this image or do this, or just what give me 10 ideas for, what I can, like some activities I can do with the kids. Like, you can just like, it can just help you with like little things. And it's useful. But anyway, I think I've been crapping on about it for long enough.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting, man. I think it's an interesting thing.
They're definitely going to try to use it as a narrative for some fucking new crypto, aren't they? Like, I mean, what do you think? Let's in there. Like, we've got 15 minutes left, before we hit the 2-hour mark. I'm curious. What do you think are going to be the narratives of this next bull market? Like, AI is probably going to be somehow in there. Hey, it's just too popular not to be. Whether people buy into it or not, that's another question. But
dude, to be honest with you, I have no idea. I would love to think that. I would love to think that true DeFi, it's a true DeFi crypto bull. Where real DeFi does well. I would love to see Bitcoin do better than like a 3x from what its last all-time high. I'd love it to do better than it does. But because I see Bitcoin as DeFi. Like I do think Bitcoin's DeFi. Like no one's going to stop you from using Bitcoin. No one can stop you, right? So that's a pretty.
What about what Mark's Saylor was going on about though? This recently, how he reckons
mortgage your house, mortgage your business.
He was going on about how like the bank should be custodying everyone's crypto, everyone's Bitcoin or something like that, and
that's disgusting.
Yeah, I know. Disgusting. It's like that's what they want, hey?
That's what they want. It's like it always gets back to that. It always gets back to, control. We want to do that for you. And look, I just think that for the individual, I think that it's worth learning whatever difficulty you think or you perceive that there is in, custody, and once again, the language of the language, we say custody, but it really is the knowledge of managing the knowledge of private keys. This is what it is.
Michael Soy Lord.
Managing the knowledge of private keys. How do we manage this information in a way that is robust enough to it's a difficult question, and it's different for everyone. Everyone's different. That's an important point. Everyone's different. It depends on your how technically adept you are. It depends on how much value there is on the blockchain. That you can potentially update. I'm trying to use the right language. It's hard. We're so used to using send or
custody and wallets and things like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
We do. We got to speak more precisely.
You're not really sending, are you? You're just like
you're updating. You're updating. You're updating a database. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. It's anyway. We've had a good chat, mate. We've had a good chat. Is there anything? What are your thoughts, mate? What do you think the next? Well,
I really hope it's true DeFi. I'd love to see just all of the things with no admin keys, just kind of like become a driving force. That would be great to see. It's probably. I mean, it's a lot of the narratives seem to be pushed by commercial interests, though. So, and it's weird, because like I never thought NFTs would be so popular, and such a driving force. I never would have thought meme coins would have been so popular. Like there were things that were around in 2017 that people are just like, what's the point? That's obviously not going to. But then, so it's going to be quite unexpected. I mean, I think AI there's definitely the catchphrase of that, and it has enough kind of mystique and kind of power around it that people will probably, just from the word, think that it's going to be valuable somehow, even though it probably whatever token they come up with is going to have nothing to do with it or not much in terms of value. But that doesn't seem to matter. It's really about like that's what's going to grab that mass consensus kind of thing. And so it's probably going to be something AI or AI.
What about CB? They're I mean, I'm just looking at what free speech is written in the chat. He said war, censorship, and CBDCs. But CBDCs are coming out. They're coming out, and
I disagree with that. Actually, I think they're going to need a ton more control before they are. See, if they bring out CBDCs and they fail miserably, like they have no adoption, it's like it's going to be a huge hit on governments. Like it's going to be a massive to their power. And what happened in I think Nigeria?
They can just force it.
They can't just force it. No,
yes,
they can't. No, they can't because people can exchange value outside of them. They can't force it. Well, they're going to have to ban cash.
But the vast majority,
they're going to have to get all of the banks in the world to all operate.
They don't have to ban it. They don't have to ban it. They don't, mate. People have done it to themselves. How much cash do you carry around yourself?
I've got cash on me. I make sure I always have some.
But not much. But not much, right? And the average person, I mean, people don't carry around cash like they used to.
Yeah, but it's coming back.
They carry it around.
And there are places in the world.
They carry it around.
It's coming back, and there are places in the world where you go to where it is fucking cash. You go to Mexico, I'm telling you now, it's fucking cash everywhere in Mexico.
It's cash.
Colombia,
yeah, it's cash.
Berlin, there was everyone.
Dude, Italy, Sicily, Go to
Greece,
Sicily.
man, it was all cash. Like, you could pay for like on your card and
cash.
stuff, but everyone was like,
but that's how. No, but do you know why? Because they distrust the plastic
Japan
card
as well. Japan, man, everyone was using cash.
Australia, dude, Australia is a country where we did it to ourselves. We just willingly jumped into that pot of water. Willingly.
Yeah, but,
like people do not
people are waking
care.
up.
People
are
do
waking
not
up to it
care,
as
mate.
well, that they're in the water now. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know, dude. I wish. I would love to be optimistic about this in Australia, but people do not care about cash in Australia because they have a lot of.
No, but there's enough of a vocal, minority that are pushing back against it, and they're having a lot of trouble like closing down all the post offices and all the, like all the bank branches and stuff like that.
But like, dude, like if you want some cash, you can go get 500 $500 a day, no worries. Maybe even $1,000 a day from an ATM. I'm not sure, but $500 a day, that's 180 grand a year, right? If you're just withdrawing it every day. And no one's going to say a word to you. You'll just withdraw 500 a day. As long as you've got the money, you can do that every day. That's within the rules, their rules. The problem is when you want big chunks at one time. That's the problem.
Yeah.
If you want to go, if you walk in and say, I want $35,000 in cash, they're going to say, why do you need $35,000 in cash? And you're going to say, well, it's none of your business. At that point, good luck getting that cash.
No, but didn't you see that? Didn't you see the that guy who there was that video of that guy who was going around to banks, like, and they were all asking him what he wanted it for, and he was saying, "Oh, I'm going to do some lines," or he was just making up shit. It was like they had to. It was like the people are just NPCs. They have to ask the question, and he was just giving them whatever answers, like even illegal shit. You know what I mean? And they would, and that's why it was so funny. Just he cut it all together, and it's like you have to remember, like, governments are very inept. They're not going to be able to do this kind of stuff that they want to do. They're full of people who are not very intelligent morons. You know what I mean? Like, really, like they've got fantasies about what they think they can do, but like the reality is like very different.
I hope so, man. I hope we don't have, no cash. I think cash is important. The privacy side of it's important.
The
I
CBDCs, man.
I don't particularly like the idea of our only alternative if we don't have cash is for a third party, like company like Visa or MasterCard having all this data on us and selling it and selling it.
They've got it all. They've got it already. Really, I mean, it's just that they want even more control. You know what I mean? Like,
well, the control part of it's going to be telling you like where you can spend your money and where you can't spend your money. So if they, for example, let's say they don't want you to go outside a 5K radius of where you live.
You can't spend your money outside that radius.
They will turn off your ability to spend money outside of that area.
Yeah. And so who wants that product? Like, the thing is, people are going to have to use it. And like, people are not going to use that crap if it's shittier. Their big idea is to come up with an even shittier product than they already have, which is already shit.
But how I don't think the average person will notice a difference in the usability of it. How are they going to notice a difference? It's going to be exactly the same usability. They'll just have a card and they'll just tap the card and it will be exactly the same from the usability perspective. So they won't care.
When they start implementing their draconian like controls.
Yeah, but that's when the pot's already boiled at that point, mate. That's my point. That's the point I'm trying to say. At that point, you're already in a boiling pot.
The other thing is if it's not a crypto, they're just creating all of these honeypots. People are going to as soon as they bring out a CBDC, within 6 months, people are going to have hacked it. Like, governments are inept. They are not made to build these
what makes you think that they're gonna? What makes you think that they can? It's going to get hacked if their current system doesn't.
No,
I'm not going to say it doesn't get hacked. I'm not going to say it doesn't get hacked. No, I'm not going to say it doesn't get hacked, but it doesn't affect the average person because it's all, funny money anyway, right? So it doesn't. If they get hacked, it doesn't really matter to the average person because they're not actually taking your gold out of the safe and then you don't have gold in the safe. It's like whatever number is in your account is going to be the number that's in your account because it's funny money anyway, right?
I just think they're going to have way more problems than they can handle with it, and it's going to be way more of a headache for them than they even realize. These are fantasists who think they can control the world, and they're not. They're just dumb cunts who are full of fear.
I hope so, man. I hope it's like what you're saying. I hope so. Yeah. And look, hopefully the better money will win. The best money will win.
And that's the other thing is you've got crypto which is the leak in the dam, which just keeps getting, more leaky. And when that becomes a flood, they can release whatever fucking ideas they want. Yeah, we're going to have a new money. Okay, fuck off. You're an idiot. I'm not going to use it, Come up with whatever ideas you want.
Dude, it's been awesome talking to you for another couple of hours.
It's good to be back in the seat, back in the passenger seat.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you can. You'll be back more often now. Maybe you can come next week. Are you still around next week?
Yeah. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, massive shout out to everyone in the chat. Thanks for coming along. We appreciate you guys. And I've got a little bit of an outro here. So do you
thanks
have
everyone.
Anything you want to say,
chat.
Bluey?
Yeah, thanks everyone in the chat. You guys are awesome. And man, I think that the world is an awesome place and it's a beautiful place full of love, and love is always going to win over fear.
Absolutely. Beautiful words. See you later, guys.
Choose life. Choose net zero. Choose clean air. Choose my career. Choose a big flip-flopping lie. Choose ignoring climate experts in favor of a Daily Mail hack. Choose 7-bin gaslighting. Choose saying you understand the struggles of ordinary people while keeping a straight face. Choose your friends, well, not working class friends. Choose this deceitful hunt. Choose exorbitant rents and insufficient housing. Choose to put your penis in a dead pig's gob. Choose the governmental shelf life of an iceberg lettuce with the financial savvy of a root vegetable. Choose sitting on a damp couch, breathing black mold in a mind-numbing, spirit-crushing Tory shit show. Choose nepotism, sycophancy, and barely concealed cronyism. Choose Windrush. Choose deportation and wondering where the f*** you are on a Sunday morning. Choose dying alone in a COVID-infested care home. Nothing more than an inconvenience to the spoiled, self-entitled brats you put in power. Choose your future. Choose life. But why would I do a thing like that? I chose not to choose life. I chose short-term populism. And the rail links? There'll be no rail links. Who needs railways when you've got a private jet?